You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
You're listening to the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres Edition, your source for all news, press conference reactions, analysis, and objective discussions regarding the NHL's Buffalo Sabres from right here in the Niagara region. Here are your hosts, Brandon Caputo and Austin Broad.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres Edition, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your December 16th, 2020 edition, your source North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, Liberty, right here in the beautiful Niagara region. Find us on social media for updates, giveaways, and sponsorship promo codes each month by following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and liking us on Facebook by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. As well, this show's podcast at AGM Sabres Pod for all updates regarding the NHL's Buffalo Sabres. Listen to us live on our main platform, which is Spreaker.com and the free Spreaker app. As well, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Deezer by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network, of course. And lastly, our beautiful user-friendly website, ArmchairGMSports.com, for all things regarding our network, including articles, podcast episodes, sponsors, and contributors. Everything's on there for you guys. Please go and check that out. And as well, give us a subscribe and smash that like button on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. As always, I'm one of your hosts of the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres Edition, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Caputs13 with a Canadian Z. As well, I'm very pleased to be joined, as always, on the Sabres portion of the network by my good friend and co-host. He is Austin Broad, contributing writer for thechargingbuffalo.net. You can follow him at AustinBroad_TCB. Austin, welcome back for another Sabres episode. I feel like it's been a long time since we've been able to discuss Sabres. We talk Ice Dogs almost every week, but haven't had a chance to talk Sabres in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like we've been saying every episode, we're hoping that we can keep hearing some updates and stuff. But now, the World Juniors are coming up. We're starting to hear rumblings of the NHL maybe looking to get going. So it seems like, soon we're going to be ramping up and doing these a lot more often, which is always a good sign.
Oh, absolutely. So on today's episode, if you guys are looking at the thumbnail for this video, we're going to be discussing, highlighting, I guess, the Buffalo Sabres that are going to be participating in the 2021 World Junior Hockey Championships this upcoming holiday season, starting on Christmas Day and going up until the start of the new year. Always a great tradition, especially for us fans here in Canada, and even for those Sabres fans in Western New York as well, following their beloved Sabres, and even when they were able to host the World Juniors for Team USA twice over the last 10 years. So always interested with that as well. But Austin, with that said, let's just briefly talk about here in the opening the World Juniors as a whole this year. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. We were wondering if the tournament was still going to happen because of the pandemic and everything going on, if safely and logistically it was going to make sense. But we are getting the tournament. It's starting on Christmas Day, and it's going up until a few days after the New Year, as usual. And the interesting thing was that, unfortunately, for a couple of teams, that it was bound to happen with players coming from all over the world with the virus spreading like it has been. There were going to be positive cases once they got into the bubble here in Red Deer and in Alberta in general, and obviously it shut down Canada for 14 days, but also there was some concerns with other teams having positive cases as well. But I think that was just the nature of it. That was going to happen when all these players coming from all over the world. There was going to be kind of a period where these players were going to have to kind of isolate, and we'd have to kind of get this thing under wraps for everybody within the tournament.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you said, Canada was unfortunate, but also fortunate enough that this all happened with plenty of time in advance. We saw Sweden lose coaches and some of their better players to COVID, which is obviously unfortunate. They're still going to be able to ice a good roster. Germany lost first rounder Lucas Reichel. The U.S. had to leave a couple of guys off their roster because of COVID scares. It's like you said, it's unfortunate, but it's unavoidable. When you look at how the NHL tried to restart, getting into the bubble, everyone was worried. There was always, there was positive tests here and there. Once they got into the bubble and things were under control, it seemed to go off pretty smoothly. Hopefully for the World Juniors, it goes the same. And once they actually get to Edmonton and are in there in quarantine, that everything goes off without a hitch and we can have this tournament, because at some point I started to wonder, like many people did, is it even worth it this year? But it seems like they're going to give it a go, and hopefully it's the right choice.
And what do you think about the players? Obviously, this is a big showcase for them every year, but even to a bigger extent this year, I think there's going to be even more eyes on this tournament this year because, A, there is no NHL going on right now, and B, it's kind of the start of what's a hopeful hockey season going into the 2021 season. We'd usually have the pause for all the junior leagues and the NHL Christmas break as well for this tournament, but because of the pandemic, none of those leagues have started as of yet, so this is basically going to be the start of the hockey season with this World Junior Championship kind of on a level that maybe we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, exactly. For a lot of players, draft eligibles and non-draft eligibles, this is going to be the first time that a lot of these players, particularly from Team Canada, that these players have even really stepped foot on the ice this year. Over in Europe, we've had some professional hockey being played, so those players have been able to get their feet underneath them. But spinning it back to Team Canada, I mean, there's no major junior hockey being played in Ontario or out west. Quebec tried to get it going, but they've had to pause and have some issues there. So for a lot of these players and for a lot of scouts, this will be the first time that they get to see these guys play actual competitive game action, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, from looking at things from the NHL perspective, I mean, Kirby Dach got loaned to Team Canada. They already said that as long as he doesn't miss any NHL games, he won't be pulled from the tournament. Dylan Cousins has been training, and we kind of penciled him in onto the Sabres this year, but he hasn't even played a competitive game yet this year. So it's interesting to see, and it'll be good to see these kids. I know I'm excited for the tournament, and I'm excited to not only watch Team Canada, but I'm just excited to watch all the games in general, which is good thing about TSN is they show every game. So we're getting back into sports season, and this will be my first dose of getting to watch a lot of hockey.
Mm-hmm. And the NHL Network has announced that they are going to be showing every game as well in the United States. So that's good for the American viewers as well to kind of grow this tournament over there as well. But it's going to be different without fans this year. Obviously, being back in Canada, it's ramped up to another level when there are fans here, and when Canada does host the tournament, it just brings another level of excitement, and just even watching it on TV, it just adds another layer to that as well. So hopefully next year, if this tournament does come back to Red Deer, which they have stated that it will if it has fans, because they were supposed to go overseas for the next couple of years, but they want to give Red Deer and the Canadian fans their real opportunity to watch and host it in a proper way with people in the stands. So hopefully next year when they come back, they'll be able to attend games safely. Hopefully by then, I mean next Christmas, I can't even think about not having anything till then. So hopefully by then we'll be able to have fans in the stands. But that's just brings another layer to that there's going to be no fans in the arena this year. So hopefully, do you think they're going to put in like fake crowd noise, or do you think they're going to bring some sort of aspect, maybe like what they did with the NHL with those kind of layers around the seats and kind of trying to have that in-game home ice advantage for the teams?
I think that they would they'll probably give it a shot. Hopefully it goes off well. I mean, I didn't mind it with the NHL. It really wasn't bad. I liked the like the in-game presentation, not necessarily the crowd noise, but like you said, the tarps over the seats with advertisements. It's better that way, because it's kind of weird to watch this high level of hockey with no fans in the stands at all. I know I've been watching some NCAA, and it's not that it's bad, but it's just weird. And I think that they'll try and do what the NHL did, because I think the NHL actually did a very good job with their bubble.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break on the show today. We're going to come back, and we're going to get into the Sabres that are going to be participating at this tournament. So really looking forward to talking about these players and kind of looking at what to expect from them. So stay right here. Be right back on the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition, and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving traditional-style Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and their famous chicken wings. Winners of the Reader's Choice Diamond Award 4 years running from Niagara this week for Best Pizza and Wings in Niagara Falls. Home of the best tray and wing combo in town for the price and quality. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery at 905-374-4400. Make sure to like them on Facebook and view their website for their menu at carminespizzeria.ca. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Way too good. As we all adjust to this new world that we're living in today, masks are now mandatory, and Niagara's own Custom PPE is Canada's leading face mask provider. Visit them online at customppe.ca and choose between several mask options with different colors and sizes. Add your organization, company, or team logo so you make your face masks unique. Available to purchase online 24/7 at customppe.ca and shipped within 1 week. They have the best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada, and no order is too big or too small. Also offering custom floor stickers as well as face and counter shields for your business or workplace. Visit customppe.ca and use the code ARMCHAIR at checkout for 20% off your custom or blank face mask today. Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Attention job seekers, if you are currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Throwstone Road, Niagara Falls, directly across from the Camisos Plaza. Their free services include resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and all their services are currently provided by appointment only. So give them a call at 905-358-0021 or visit their website at ehc.on.ca, the Niagara Employment Help Center. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to segment 2 of our Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Cappy and Austin brought back from here. This segment today is brought to you by Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada, built from right here in the Niagara region. Order today at customppe.ca and use the code ARMCHAIR at checkout for 20% off your entire order for your custom face masks. Check them out. Really good stuff. We got ours in. They look great. So if you need some custom-made PPE, go and check them out and use the code ARMCHAIR at checkout, 20% off the entire order. So with that said, Austin, let's take a look at the Buffalo Sabres and the World Junior Hockey Championships this year. Obviously, let's start off with the two big names from Team Canada that were Dylan Cousins and Jack Quinn, the last 2 first-round picks of the Buffalo Sabres. Cousins back in 2019 as the 7th overall pick, and then this most recent NHL draft, Jack Quinn went 8th overall to the Sabres. So 2 very high draft picks for the Sabres, and 2 players that we and a lot of the Sabres fan base out there are really looking forward to seeing what they can contribute on this team going into the future. So you watched the red versus white games, Austin. What did you really like from those games, and how did you think Cousins and Quinn fared in those games kind of before the final roster cuts were made?
Yeah, so Dylan Cousins, and I'd put him on the same level as Kirby Dach. They were just very, very, very clearly the 2 best players in those games. I mean, they look like men amongst boys. Dach, especially obviously playing in the NHL last year, has a little bit of an advantage, but it was super encouraging to see Cousins dominate just as much as he did. Cousins is super fast. He's so good in the two-way game. He's extremely skilled offensively. I was reading John Vogel said he's put on 18 pounds. He's listed at 198 pounds now, which is just ridiculous. He was absolutely amazing. Obviously, the last 2 games we didn't get to see, so I wish I could have seen those 2. But Cousins, he's dominating at a level that you would expect him to be, and hopefully that carries in through the tournament where he was extremely good last year. Quinn, on the other hand, up until he scored that goal in the second red and white game, it wasn't really super encouraging for him. I know you and I talked about it. We kind of had him on the outside looking in. I had that as well, but the things that we talked about, playing for Tournier, obviously gave him a little bit of a benefit. He started to look extremely comfortable, apparently, in those red and white games that resumed after camp started up again, which we didn't get to see. So most people will say he was a first-round pick, and he's a bit older. He's 19. He should have been expected to make it. We talked about it. I didn't expect him to make it because that roster was so stacked and so loaded. But, he's been practicing on the top line with Dach and Cousins, so obviously he's doing something right. And it'll be our first time getting to see him since he was drafted by the Sabres. So it's extremely exciting for Sabres fans. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks on Team Canada. I don't know the last time that happened. The last time I think we had 2 prospects on Team Canada might have been Foligno and Cassian back in the day. So this is pretty cool as Sabres fans and Canada fans that these two have a chance to not only be a big part of Canada, but be a big part, potentially 2 of the top forwards in the entire tournament if everything goes well.
And hope they turn out a lot better than Foligno and Cassian did as Sabres as far as, what they brought to the team. I mean, those two are, power forwards, but we're expecting a lot more from Cousins and Quinn. And that's interesting that Tournier decided to put Quinn onto the roster. Obviously, coaching him in Ottawa gave him maybe a little bit of an advantage of knowing what he can bring, scoring 52 goals for the Ottawa 67s last year. So obviously, I'm sure that helped, but is also pairing him with Cousins. So maybe he's trying to give the Sabres fans a little taste of maybe something that we can see in the future of Cousins and Quinn on the same line together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, strictly from a hockey standpoint, when you look at what Cousins and Doc do really well, and what Quinn does really well, Quinn's very good off the puck, getting open in the slot, getting open for those scoring chances. Doc and Cousins are literally just super skilled. They'll do anything. That they're extremely talented passers. So I think those 3 kind of fit well together, and I'm hoping that stays as a line as the tournament gets started, because it would be just so much fun to not only see 2 Sabres players play together, but to see Quinn play with someone as dominant as Dylan Cousins and Kirby Dach. He had great line mates in Ottawa, but no disrespect to those guys, nothing near as good as what Dylan Cousins and Kirby Dach bring.
It's going to be great to see them on a national stage like this, and a worldwide stage for that matter, with Quinn and Cousins obviously playing for Team Canada, which is already going to have a lot of eyes on it, let alone what's going on with the pandemic this year and everybody else that's going to be tuning into this tournament. So like you mentioned, I'm just happy that 2 Sabres are going to be highly showcased in this World Junior Championship. So it's really nice to see. And we put a Twitter poll up yesterday on AGM Sabres Pod, so make sure you're following that for any more Twitter polls that we post before our episodes. You want to get in on these. So we put out the which of these Sabres-related scenarios are more likely to happen for Team Canada at the World Juniors this year. Obviously, one of them might have been a little bit of a stretch, which is why the other one took the reins on this. But I put Jack Quinn leads Canada in goals, or Dylan Cousins is named Canada's top forward. 91% said Dylan Cousins is named Canada's top forward. I think that was, probably going to be the choice from the beginning. But we did have a quote tweet from this, and this was from Joel Capucci. He covers. He's working in the Islanders organization, AHL affiliate Bridgeport Sound Tigers, and also for the hockey writer for the ChargingBuffalo.net. He put, I think Cousins is the easier pick, but if Quinn plays on the top line with Cousins and Doc, he is being given a great opportunity to show if he truly is an elite goal scorer, so watch out. So what did you think of the Twitter poll there, Austin, and what do you think of that scenario happening, Quinn possibly leading Canada in goals or Cousins being named their top forward?
Yeah, so I agree exactly with what Capucci said. He's a good guy. He knows his hockey, but obviously the easy choice is Cousins being named Canada's top forward. He was so good last year. He's just obviously getting better every year, but when you put Jack Quinn on that line, you know how good of a goal scorer Jack Quinn is. Anything is possible. It's very possible that Jack Quinn ends up leading Canada in goals if he stays on that top line and gets top unit power play time. We know how important that stuff is. So while I do think Cousins is the easier choice, I can't lie and say I wouldn't be totally shocked if Jack Quinn somehow leads Canada in goals, because that's what Jack Quinn does. He leads the teams that he plays for in goals. He's always been a goal scorer, and now he's got a chance to show the world and show Sabres fans that, hey, you guys didn't make a mistake by taking me instead of Marco Rossi. I am here. I am going to be a big part of your team going forward.
Mm-hmm. And goal scoring is something that they've obviously needed over the last little while, so that's something that'll definitely be welcomed if he's able to translate that into the NHL game. But with that said, Austin, that's basically it for those 2 guys. Again, hopefully when we come back in the new year with another episode, we're talking about Quinn and Cousins. Maybe there's a picture together of them holding the gold medal for Canada. That would just be great for Austin and myself, being Canadians and Sabres fans. So that would be a double whammy for us. But with that said, there's other Sabres that are in this tournament, not to be forgotten about here, Austin. JJ Peterka being one of them for Team Germany. Obviously, he was projected to be a late first-round pick. He fell to the Sabres in the second round at 34th overall. What do you think of J.J. Peterka with this Team Germany lineup? They've obviously got a couple of other nice pieces there, including, and I just got to pull it up here because I have it for my notes for TV tonight, and here it is. We have playing with Team Germany, on his line, which has been very good, is Tim Stützle and Lucas Reichel. So those are two obviously very talented players, first-round picks in the last 2020 NHL draft. So what do you think about J.J. Peterka possibly playing with those guys, and what do you think his ceiling could be in this tournament?
Yeah, so J.J. Peterka, if obviously the DEL in Germany has been started up, so he's been playing in Austria for Salzburg, but he has just been really turning it on lately. He's up to 16 points in 12 games over there, and he's starting to get a lot of hype, especially among Sabres fans. I was one of the people that said the second the first round was over, my wish list for the second round is go get J.J. Peterka. They ended up trading up to get him. I was thrilled. I think this kid has a top 6 second line-esque ceiling, but at the very least, he's going to be a nice middle six forward. He's a relentless forechecker. He's extremely talented offensively. He was a part of that line last year for Germany. They were all draft eligible with Stützle, Reichel, and Peterka, and they were just so much fun to watch. That Germany team was so much fun to watch. Obviously, COVID has kind of hampered their lineup a little bit, so they might not be as strong as they were last year, but I'm really excited to see how he does this year, and I've got high hopes for Peterka. There's some people out there who are starting to say that they like him more than Quinn, which is just, that's what Sabres fans do. They buy into the hype. No disrespect to Peterka, but there's a reason Jack Quinn went 8th overall and Peterka was there in the second round. But I do have high hopes for this kid, and I think not next year, maybe the year after, he'll be over here in North America, and I expect big things from him. I'm not saying Germany will have the success they had last year because their lineup is a little bit different, but I would still expect Peterka to not only be a standout for Germany, but to be one of their better players this year.
Do you think he's definitely going to get over the 6 points in 7 games that he had last tournament?
That'll be tough. It depends on how effective Germany's power play is. They were so good on the power play last year, and he got a lot of his points with the man advantage, and that's what happens with teams like Germany. They have to capitalize on their special teams chances. So if their power play is half as good as it was last year, I can see him tying that 6-point range and even eclipsing it.
Mm-hmm. They have Canada in their group, but they are in the weaker group this year with Russia, USA, and Sweden being in the other group, so maybe that will help them a bit. They've got to play Finland, Switzerland, and I'm drawing a blank on the last team. Austin, help me out here.
I have the groups right here.
Switzerland,
Slovakia.
Finland, Slovakia. So there is an opportunity here for J.J. Peterka and Germany to make some noise here. Obviously, Canada being probably going to lead the group. But other than that, I mean, Finland's always a solid country. But, I mean, Switzerland's getting better. A lot of these teams are getting better, honestly. But I think that Germany and Peterka could definitely make some noise. We'll have to see kind of where they fit in the group and if they can make it through to the medal rounds. We'll have to wait and see. But with that said, there's one more player to discuss here, Austin. Ryan Johnson, the ever-talked-about Sabres first-round pick from last year, 31st overall. The lasting memory given to us by former general manager Jason Botterill of what Ryan Johnson can bring. There's been a lot of heat on Ryan Johnson, not anything to do with him, but just for the fact that where he was drafted over certain players that were still available, a.k.a. Arthur Kaliev, who looks to be one of the leaders for Team USA this year as a high-end goal scorer. But Ryan Johnson has played better for University of Minnesota this year. So far he has 4 points in 6 games played. He only had 8 points in 37 games last year. So what have you liked from Ryan Johnson's game, Austin, and what do you think that he's going to bring to this very young Team USA D-core who only has one player returning on it?
Yeah, the USA, I still think they're a strong team, but they're a really young team this year. I think they're going to be very exciting to watch. Yeah, like you said, Johnson's played a lot better this year in Minnesota. You're starting to see him, get more comfortable. He's got 4 points in 6 games, which is already half of what he had last year. Production aside, you're starting to see his passing ability, his ability to skate up and down the ice with the puck, which was something that was heralded when he was picked. If you remember back in the day when Phil Housley coached the Team USA team captained by Jake McCabe, I would kind of expect a similar role for Johnson there. He might not be on the score sheet a lot, but when you look at what Johnson can bring, he'll move the puck out. He won't really do anything to harm you in your defensive end. He doesn't really too often make a defensive zone mistake that hurts his team, which is going to be key for this young USA team because, like we talked about, their group, let's face it, I know we're Team Canada fans, but Group B is stacked compared to Group A. Group A is definitely the easier walk to the medal round. So Johnson and Team USA, they're going to have to rely on playing solid defensively in front of Spencer Knight, who is extremely good, and hope that their young players, including Ryan Johnson, can capitalize for him because that's a tough group. I don't envy anyone in Group B trying to play Czech Republic, Sweden, Austria, Russia, USA. I don't envy any of those 5 teams.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be interesting for USA. I don't know where they land this year. They're a very small, skilled team, and they're very young. So I don't know where either they're going to go and win the group, or they could have another disappointing effort going into hopefully next year. But they do have a lot of skilled players up front. But it'll be interesting to see with that young decor and Ryan Johnson being one of them, a first-year player, how they're going to fare against these powerhouses like Sweden and Russia. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know how that group ended up working out for Canada, but that definitely helped. And it might help Germany and JJ Peterka, honestly. I mean, if they were in that group, they'd probably be looking at them and saying, yikes, are these guys even going to be able to put up any goals? But, in a group where, other than Canada, it's pretty wide open, I think Team Germany and Switzerland, they have a shot over there. But going back to Ryan Johnson, what do you think would be a successful tournament for him, Austin, if showing for him that would make you impressed and kind of optimistic about what he could do moving forward with Minnesota and University of Minnesota, and then hopefully graduating to the Sabres one day?
Yeah, so when I look at Johnson, I just want to look at his ability to transition the U.S. from defense to offense, how he is at breaking the puck out, how he is at holding the blue line, not allowing his opponents to enter his zone with ease. Johnson can produce offense. Like, he has put up points in the USHL. He's putting up points this year through his first 6 games. But the good thing with defense is points, unless you're like the Rasmus Dahlins or the Cale Makars of the world, points don't really matter. So I'm looking to see how Johnson is moving the puck and how he is positionally aware in his defensive zone and how he is defending. Like we said, we're talking about the teams that they're playing against. These teams are going to come at you fast with a lot of speed and a lot of skill. So I want to see how he is at not only defending the rush, but defending in his own zone.
Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see how that progresses again. Hopefully we'll be able to come back with a recap after the tournament's over and kind of highlight what these 4 players have done for the respective countries on a national scale, on a worldwide scale here for the World Juniors, and kind of come back and report some good news on these Sabres prospects, as we always love to keep up with them and see what they're going to be doing and how fast that we can start to see impacts on the Sabres and within the Sabres organization. So good luck to Cousins, Quinn, Peterka, and Ryan Johnson in this tournament, and I'll be really looking forward to kind of keeping an eye on those 4 guys as well throughout the tournament. So we'll have to see if we're able to report back with something good for all 4 of these guys moving into 2021. But with that said, we're going to take our last commercial break on the show today. We're going to come back and discuss the rumors about the realigned NHL divisions and kind of where the Sabres are with that, and kind of our quick thoughts on where the Sabres kind of shake out within that rumored division. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition, and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network.
J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride in providing elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel great about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with their customers to simplify the process to make their life easier and to make their homes beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, or find out more at jnlflooring.com. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 905-358-3299 J&L Flooring.
The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill is located on the top of Clifton Hill and just a 5-minute walk from the majestic Niagara Falls. It is conveniently nestled in the heart of the tourist district. A family-owned and operated business, the Spicy Olive opened its doors in May of 2003 and has since been established as an authentic and unique Italian restaurant and bar. Its rustic ambiance and time-worn finishing provide a warm and inviting dining experience. Offering an array of delicious dishes, they specialize in authentic Italian cuisine, homemade sauces, fresh ingredients, and consistently providing a strong foundation on which they build their menu. As night falls, the Spicy Olive shifts to a lively lounge where drinks and live music come together to make a perfect evening. For more than 15 years, they have provided not only for their dedicated locals, but their customers from all over the world with authentic Italian food and great live entertainment. Open daily 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for dinner and till 2 a.m. for drinks.
Check out their new menu and book reservations on their website at Spicy Olive Bar and Grill, it's with an E at the end, .com, or call 905-371-2323 for reservations as well. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Segment of today's Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition right here in the Armchair GM Sports Network. Cappy and Austin back with you here. And this last segment today is brought to you by J&L Flooring, a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. Simplified processes, making homes beautiful are their specialties. 905-358-3299 or J&L Flooring to start today. Jack's a big Sabres fan, so I'm sure he's going to love the shout out on the Sabres episode. So with that said, Austin, let's take a look at the possible leaked realigned divisions for the NHL. Obviously the All-Canadian division, which, you know, people in the other on the Leafs episode, they can talk about that all they want, so that will be cool, the All-Canadian division. But as far as where that leaves the Sabres, yikes, it's going to be a tough division if this year, if this is the rumored division, how it's going to go. Boston, Buffalo, New Jersey, New York Islanders, New York Rangers, Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Washington Capitals. Off the bat, Austin, looking at that, that's a very tough division. You got some of the top teams in the Metropolitan Division and some of the best teams within the Atlantic Division, the best team in the Atlantic Division for that matter in Boston. So how do you think that this, I know we kind of discussed it during the commercial break here, but other than New Jersey being a slam dunk for me, I don't see if you can honestly say that Buffalo is going to be a slam dunk to beat any of these other teams right off the bat. And I mean, I know they have a lot of good additions this year with Taylor Hall, Eric Stahl, and they're going to be a better team. But with this new realigned division, this is going to be very, very tough.
Yeah, so like you said, New Jersey kind of seems like a slam dunk unless they get a miraculous run from Corey Crawford and net and Jack Hughes turns into a superstar. But I think, like we talked about, we don't really know the playoff format, but let's just say they were doing top four in each division. I think Boston and Pittsburgh kind of have a slam dunk on taking two of the top four spots, and then after that, it's pretty much it's anybody. The Islanders are coached by Barry Trotz. They always play a strong, sound defensive system. The Rangers seem to be that team on the rise in everyone's eyes, and they just added Lafreniere. Washington's still Washington, and Philadelphia could really, on any given night, they could beat anybody. So Buffalo does have their work cut out for them. I know they made a lot of good moves, but based off what we've seen performance-wise from the Sabres the past few years, it's kind of hard to put them as a slam dunk over any of those teams besides New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. And Philadelphia, I think, is interesting too because they obviously went on that run before the pause of the before we had the pause for the pandemic. They were the hottest team in the NHL, and they were flying up the conference. So and then obviously when the playoffs started, a lot of these teams were teams that were in the playoffs. I think the only two teams that were not were Buffalo and New Jersey. So with that said, I mean, it's even hard to pick a top three for this division because honestly, I could make a case for any of the other teams other than Boston. I mean, other than Buffalo and New Jersey being one of these top three teams in this division. And there's going to be, if it's going to, like you mentioned, if it's going to be top four make it or top three with two wild cards, there's going to be maybe two or three good teams that end up don't making it from this realigned division here. It might be one of the tougher divisions of the four, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree with you 100% there. I do think it's a tough division. The good news for Buffalo, I guess, is the Atlantic division was tough. So I guess we have that to fall back on. But like you said, it's kind of hard to pick a top three. I mean, Buffalo, depending on how with the roster the way it is right now, obviously our forward group is dramatically improved, but our defense and goaltending is pretty much the same. So unless a move is made, it's pretty much going to be how far can Linus Ullmark take us in net? Because if Linus Ullmark has one of those breakthrough years, the Sabres will probably be in pretty good shape. But if Linus Ullmark and Carter Hutton, kind of have the same year that they had last year, it's not going to be good for Buffalo. We're just going to score a lot more goals. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm optimistic that the Sabres are going to be better. I think almost everyone is, though. So it's just so hard to predict. But yeah, I don't have an easy time putting them above anyone guaranteed except New Jersey.
So basically, they lose Tampa and Toronto. You can make a case that those are good teams. I mean, Tampa's the Stanley Cup champions, and Toronto always looks like they're going to be good and then end up not doing it when they make the playoffs. But we're not here to bash the Leafs, which we could do all day long. But other than those two teams, I mean, you look at Ottawa, Montreal, and Detroit, along with Florida, are the four teams that you take out and replace them essentially with Washington, Pittsburgh, and then your choice of whoever you want between the Islanders, Rangers, and Flyers. It just, for me, obviously Buffalo is tough playing Boston every year. They're one of the top teams in the NHL year in and year out. But you replace, Buffalo does struggle against Ottawa, don't get me wrong, but Ottawa, Montreal, Florida, and Detroit, the caliber of those four teams compared to the four teams that they're going to be now playing in their division, that's going to just elevate it to another level, and the Sabres are going to have to step it up even more. It was going to be tough for them to even make it with the division that they were going to be playing in before they were realigned, but now with the realignment, I think they've made it even more difficult, and the Sabres are going to have to show that they're even that much better of a team with these other top teams that they're going to be playing in this new realigned division.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Atlantic division was tough. But, I mean, there was at least, like you said, Detroit's going to be better this year, but they probably weren't going to be that much better. Florida seems to be a crapshoot any year. They're good. On any given year, they're good, but on any given year, they're bad. Montreal is Montreal. Buffalo and them seem to play each other pretty well for the most part. So I agree with you. I think just based off how the teams were playing last year, I mean, when you add in the Metropolitan Division, arguably was the strongest division from top to bottom. The Atlantic probably had the better top three teams, but the Metropolitan Division was from top to bottom probably the hardest division, and we have most of those teams in our division now. So it's an uphill climb with the season getting ready to ramp up again, and maybe we'll see some roster moves. We've already seen a couple minor trades and some signings. Maybe Kevin Adams is starting to work the phones again because, I mean, no disrespect to Linus Ullmark, I think he's a really solid goalie, but banking on him in a year where you only have Taylor Hall for 1 year, where Jack Eichel seems to be on the precipice of, we need to make the playoffs now, or I might be bailing on this team. Sam Reinhart's only got a 1 year deal. Dahlin's due a massive extension after this year. Like it's tough. This is the year. The Sabres need to be all in on trying to get to the playoffs, and this division did not make it any easier on them. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. Is it's not going to be easier for this team to make the playoffs, but maybe if they have a strong showing, and given that it's going to be such a tougher realigned division this year, maybe even missing the playoffs, maybe Jack Eichel will think of it and say, hey, you know what, we kind of we're stuck with the short end of the stick here with such a tough division. And where would you be comfortable with, Austin, out of those 8 teams? Where would you be comfortable with Buffalo finishing, and where would you consider it to be a successful year? Do you need them to finish in the top 3 for sure, or if they finish 4th or 5th, would you be okay with that kind of development from where they've been?
Yeah, I think, again, given everything that's happened this year, 4th or 5th is probably pretty good. I think depending on the playoff format, 4th might be an actual playoff spot or good enough to get you into a playoff spot. I think if they finish top 4 in that division, that's a success. Even top 5, depending on how the season looked and how the team looked. I mean, if they finish top 5 and Eichel and Hall have career years, then, we see that step forward from Ullmark. That's pretty good too. But I think if you're at least 4th in that division, I would look at it as a success. I don't know how the people within the organization would look at it, but because I think they're honestly in playoff mode, or like we need to get to the playoff mode. But if they did find themselves in the top 4 based off that division, I can't be disappointed in that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of how I feel about it too. But that's basically it, Austin. So again, thank you to everybody who's tuned in for this year's kind of the start of our Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition. Austin, I kind of just want to finish off on this. We've kind of introduced this show to everybody, and with 2020, going to be behind us. The beginning of 2020 looked great, but obviously the latter half of it hasn't been good. But really looking forward to kind of what we're going to be able to bring, hopefully, with the show in 2021. Obviously, we had a couple of of times where we were able to interview some Sabres prospects with Matej Pekar earlier this year that you did, Austin, and hopefully, upcoming this season, if we're able to have media or what that's going to look like, we'll be able to interview guys like Jack Quinn and other Sabres prospects. But really looking forward to what we can bring the listeners to here and kind of get the Niagara Sabres community going here, because there is such a good base of Sabres fans here that I think is untapped and something that we really want to bring to you guys and cover, as it's not really covered around here. Obviously the Leafs are the big thing around here, but being so close to Buffalo, there's such a passionate group of Sabres fans here that want to know more about the team, and that's why we're here. We want to be able to bring you guys more Sabres content from this area. Austin and myself being diehard Sabres fans, but also being members of the media, to be able to bring that to you guys in an objective manner, and that's something that we're really looking forward to going into next season, when hopefully media and fans and everything like that are going to be allowed back in the buildings. We'll have to wait and see, but just ending on that and ending our 2020 last show of 2020 here, Austin, just really looking forward to what you and I are going to be able to do moving forward with not only our media side of it, but also bringing it to our listeners here, and what we can kind of bring more content to this Sabres portion of our network.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, obviously we had some big plans for this year, and things obviously beyond our control, but we're really looking forward to 2021. We have some big plans going forward, and we're hoping that everyone will be along with us, and we can't wait for the season to get started so we can have more content on a regular basis, and hopefully it's a good season, not only for the Sabres, but for all of our fans and all our listeners out there.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, Austin, where can people find your articles that you've been doing? You've been tracking some games as well, so where can they find your work that you've been doing for the Charging Buffalo?
Yeah, so you can find it on thechargingbuffalo.net. I'm in the middle of my Jack Quinn scouting series, and I'm also in the middle of doing an NCAA project focusing in on Sabres prospect at Wisconsin University, Linus Weissbach. So that stuff will be updated on a regular basis, thechargingbuffalo.net.
Perfect. So make sure you're going and checking that out. Austin does a great job with his analytics. It's a lot of stuff that he's way smarter than I am as far as that stuff. I could never imagine tracking any of that stuff. So go and check him out for all that. That's why I'm glad to have him on here. I need the brains for this episode, because I sure as heck are not as skilled in that department as Austin is with the analytics. But with that said, guys, this is going to wrap it up for this episode and for the final episode of 2020 of the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition, right here in the Armchair GM Sports Network, your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the beautiful Niagara region. As always, I am one of your hosts of the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Capotes13 with Canadian Z, as well. You can follow my co-host Austin at Austin_Broad. TCB. Again, go check out his stuff at the Charging Buffalo. Some really, really good stuff there. And a big thank you to all of our great sponsors who help put us on, support the network, keeping the show on the air. Make sure you're checking them out and telling them that the Armchair GM sent you. And finally, to you viewers out there and Sabres fans, for tuning in and listening along with us for this episode and listening to us all year long. It's been very much appreciated. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And once again, this is the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Sabres edition on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans for sports fans. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you guys in 2021.
See you in 2021, guys.